board. Have to remember. So, by the way, we are recording these sessions, so all of the chicanery that was going on earlier is recorded, and it's going to be on YouTube for all the world to see.
Hope it gets a lot of hits.
I hope so too.
We'll be up there with Tina Fey.
All right. So this next module, we're going to be looking at team building. And it's interesting. I think, having communication and then having team building right after, it's really interesting because there's some definite overlap. And we're going to talk about that. If you were not aware, or just a reminder, under the title of each Rio Grande Academy module is this one sentence, which I think nicely captures what the topic is about. I can lead and promote my club's collaboration. And think about collaboration and communication, because you really can't have one without the other. Anyway, in effective and motivated groups to accomplish our goals and service, our goals of service, sorry. So that's what we're going to really focus on is collaboration and why it's so important. A few session goals. We're going to talk about committees and team building. Talk about the advantages and disadvantages of committees. So basically what makes an effective committee. Examine committees as a tool of leadership, and we'll probably not get to examining leadership style. In fact, in some ways we covered that a little bit the last session, but that is part of this. There's a few materials. The ones here in diamonds, there's a really nice insert on club committee structures. So for those of you who are president-elects, if you've not put your org chart together yet, I would suggest taking a look at those committee structures. They're basically similar. There's 3 of them. But it really depends on the size of the club. So if there's a very large club, you can have more committees and they report to each other, and it goes all the way down to small clubs. So we're not going to cover that during the session, but it's certainly good to look at. The club coat of arms exercise, we're going to do that today. And if you're not having fun already, you'll certainly have fun with that, or at least I'll have fun at your expense. And then there's a third exercise, which we will not get to, which is about this Urbana University, but certainly something to take a look at, but we're not going to cover it in the module. There's 2 other resources that are both outstanding. The Club President Manual. For those of you who are presidents, you're already probably familiar with this and are maybe sick of it. For those of you who are president-elects, you may already have this, but it's really outstanding. There's a lot in it. I think it's about 70 or 80 pages, but there's a lot of good information in there, including committee structures and how, as a president, it's important to have effective committees. And then there's a short document, Be a Vibrant Club. And I've literally fallen in love with this. For a couple reasons. One is it's short. I think it's only 8 pages, and half of it are pictures. So being someone that reads comic books avidly, a document with pictures is something I can relate to. But it's really short and sweet. It talks about, again, effective committees and things to think about. So I highly recommend getting your hold on both of these documents. And you'll see the websites, both of them you can get through Rotary.org. So that is the start of team building. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put us back in all view mode, and then we'll answer a couple of these questions and then get into the exercise. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. So let's talk for a minute about why teams and committees are important in our Rotary clubs. Why do we need to have them? And it doesn't really matter if we're a small club or a large club. Why are teams and committees so important?
Organized effort.
Boy, I love that. And again, I didn't send that to you ahead of time or anything, did I? That was
No, I got it. Oh, right. No, you didn't.
organized effort. Talk for a minute about that, because I love it when you can answer something this profound in 2 words. So what does organized effort mean or suggest or?
First of all, let me say I really got lucky by answering it so profoundly in words. No, organized effort. So in other organizations where I was the leader, what I found out was sometimes you can just tap into a person's passion for something, or maybe you just connect with that person and they will just work hard for you no matter what. There are other people that if they're not passionate about the role that you've given them, or if you don't define clearly the role for them that you're asking them to do, then it's unorganized effort. They might work really hard and not get anything accomplished in the direction of the goal of the group. And so that's what I mean by that.
I think that's great. The 2 words that came to mind as you said that, and I think for a Rotary Club, this notion is extremely important. We often find ourselves really busy. We're always busy. We're just doing things. But the challenge, and I think the notion of organized effort, is to shift from just being busy to being productive. Mm-hmm. And if a committee is going to be productive, meaning they're going to accomplish things, it has to be through organized effort. It's not going to be by happenstance. In fact, and I'm a scientist by trade, so bear with me here. The universe is getting more random over time. We have a tendency to use as much space as we have. So that's why closets get dirty and desks get full of papers and things like that. So we have a tendency to become disorderly. So having organized effort takes effort, right? So we don't tend to be organized. We tend to be disorganized. So putting together committees, and I think that's where the role of the president is, and having them really be organized and productive, that really is the key. So that's great. Any other insights on why we need team building and committees in our clubs?
I also think that if you try to do things by having the whole club do it, which one of my predecessors as president did, you lose focus. Everybody has a different idea. Everybody wants to bring up a different point. Create the right committee and trust them, and we'll stay focused.
Absolutely. Excellent point. Any other input on this? Let me ask Dom. So Dom, how big is the Albuquerque Club? You're on mute, Dom. Sorry.
Yep, sorry, I am. About 206.
So with a club that size, how are the committees structured? In part because of how large that club is and how much it potentially can accomplish.
We have about 32 committees. Each one is broken down and reports to a member of the board who is responsible for that particular division. The divisions are organized in such a way that the committees have mutual functions along similar lines in the general category. And then they report out to that particular member of the board who reports in turn to the board.
So in a sense, because it's large, there's more of an opportunity for what I would call subcommittees that
yes.
roll up into larger groups and so on. And that's an advantage of a large club. The challenge, and I give the Rotary Club of Albuquerque a lot of credit because it's very well organized, is sometimes the larger it is, the harder it is to manage.
It's like herding cats.
A lot of them.
I can speak with authority on this. You are constantly communicating, and again, going back to what Mary taught in her course, you have to understand and accept the fact that some people feel very comfortable communicating by email, and others would rather wait and see you and tell you what they're doing in their particular committee. Or, after a while as the president, you find yourself deciding which committees at any given time are the important committees that need your attention, or you want the information that's coming out of that committee.
Yep.
Carol, did you fool me, or did your Santa Fe, a little over 100 people? And I thought your club was very well organized. I'm wondering how you did that.
Well, we were fortunate because we had some natural succession and natural leadership. It was like herding cats, even at that, but we have people that have been doing that certain jobs for a long time, and they preferred to stay there, didn't want to change committees. We did have a lot of opportunities for everyone to be a part of a committee. And fortunately, we have 22 past presidents in the club, so 23 with me. So got a lot of leadership there. Good leadership.
I think we'll move on to the next question, but I think one of the keys, and that president's manual is a single manual for any president, regardless of the size of the club that they are the president of. The notion of committees is relevant for any club, regardless of size, but how they function and how they're managed and how they're doing that organized effort, that's where there may be some differences. In some ways, with a small club, it's a little bit easier to have it be organized effort because you have fewer people to organize. But I think that the notion of having effective committees is really relevant regardless of the size of the club, how long it's been in operation, or anything like that. So
every club has its own personality.
That's exactly right. The second question, how can the Be a Vibrant Club plan assist us in forming committees? Unless you've looked at the document, it may not be worth us discussing this, but I highly recommend, if you've not seen that Be a Vibrant Club, we're going to use it in AGLG training coming up in a couple of weeks. It really is great. So please take a look at that. It's a great, what I would call a roadmap. It doesn't have a lot of specifics in it, but it really does provide a nice high-level overview of things to think about when you're putting committees together. So please take a look at that, but if you haven't seen that, we'll skip that question. Let's focus on the notion of effective teams and committees. So let's go back to this notion about focus, which is what Yale talked about, and organized effort, which is what Mike talked about. How do you make sure, or how do you assemble teams and committees in order for them to be effective? That is, how do you, I don't want to, ensure may be too strong of a word, but how do you kind of move a committee to the notion of it having that organized effort and having that focus?
I think you have to identify strengths and identify folks that would not only be passionate about the area that the committee is focused on, but you also have to have someone leading that committee that is a good leader, which isn't always hand in hand with passion about the task.
Absolutely. What else?
I think you have to have the ability to give the committee a vision and a goal, and the committee has to have some direction from the beginning in terms of what the outcomes are in terms of deliverables at the end of the day.
That is right on. We talked in strategic planning about SMART goals, specific, measurable. If I'm the president of a Rotary Club and I give a goal to a committee and it's not specific, what's likely going to happen?
Nothing.
Or, yeah, nothing, or it's going to be random chaos. It's like the opposite of organized effort. So part of the role of typically the president and the committee chairs is to make sure that the work that the committees are going to do is clear to everyone on that committee. Not ambiguous, not up for interpretation. The clearer the goals, the more likely that group of people with the passion that Mike talked about is going to have that organized, focused effort that we were talking about.
I think, Jeff, I think there's another side of the coin. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of you, but I think it's really important that the committees be empowered. And we're delegating the jobs to them, and when they've done it, we go with it. We've had members in our club in the past too, when a committee reported, the first thing somebody would say is, well, I'll tell you why that won't work. Or
Right.
we tried that in 2002, you know, and that is just a momentum stopper. If we have a committee, and the right committee, we got to trust it. And if you have an opinion, get on the committee and speak there.
So that was a perfect segue, Yale, to the question that follows about delegation. You don't have to mention names, but I would just ask you to think about if there was a year or maybe multiple years when the president of your Rotary Club was somewhat of a micromanager. And for whatever reason found it difficult to really delegate and let go and let the committees do their work.
And they went nuts.
Yeah. You know, what good is it putting committees together if they're not empowered to do work?
That's right.
You know? I think the trade-off, though, is that they shouldn't be doing work in a vacuum either. That is, there should be opportunities, usually, let's say, through board meetings or club assemblies, for the work of the team to be reported back. Here's how we're doing. Here's the progress we're making, or here's some of the challenges we're facing. So you want to empower teams and committees, but you also want to have kind of a regular communication back. Does that seem reasonable?
That is exactly right.
Let me ask, any of you can chime in here. How often, let me ask Dom. So for all these committees that the Albuquerque Club has, how often are they somehow reporting back to the board or back to the president? How often is that done? Is it monthly?
It's required that they report to their division chief on a monthly basis, which in turn is integrated into the printed board reports.
So typically it's going to be monthly or quarterly, kind of depends on how much work is going on. But I think it's important to be monitoring the work without micromanaging. Any other input on that?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard as the president of the club to keep your mouth shut and let the committee chair do his job or her job.
I know when I was president, I kept my mouth shut, but I would roll my eyes. It's one of those communication techniques that Mary was talking about. Okay. Real quickly, the last question here is about committee chairs. So we talked in strategic planning about how important it is for committee chairs to be either part of the planning process or the immediate recipients of what comes out of the strategic plan, because they need to know what's going on and they need to have that clarity. So maybe in a minute or so, if anyone wants to chime in on kind of your experience with committee chairs, what their role is, how they function, any input on that?
Well, okay, this is Gail from the Clovis Club. Now, my experience this year has been we don't really have committees. We've got our chair, and they kind of put together the information and disseminate it to the club based on whatever it is, or organize and manage. I'll give an example. Membership chair, he does it all. He collects the information. He sets up the orientation meetings and presents that information, delivers it to the new members.
How many in your club?
65. Yeah. And we don't get a high number of new members. It probably averages 1 a month, if you were to average that out. But another example would be our service projects chair. Now that position usually gets a committee together to help in putting together the different projects and service areas that we do.
And I think part of that really depends on, Mike had talked about passion. Passionate people will tend to just do things as long as they know what they need to get done. I guess one other advantage in having committees is that it provides a forum for the membership to be engaged.
Yes, I agree. I think that's a big advantage.
So I know a number of you had talked about, either requiring that everyone serve on a committee or some kind of way to get people involved. And there's a win-win, but you also have to look at the dynamics of the people and all of that. So committee chairs are, to me, they are the hub of the work that the club accomplishes. If you've got the president-elect for our club, he and I were having a chat, and he said, well, I'm a little concerned. I've got a lot on my plate. I've got a full-time job and all that. And I said, look, if you have really good, effective committee chairs, they know it needs to be done, that will take a lot of the pressure off of you. If, on the other hand, the committee chairs are kind of going off and doing all sorts of things, then you are going to have to step in and kind of keep them focused and organized, and that's going to take a lot more time. So I think strategically, committee chairs are really important appointments.
And
you don't want to.
much of the work takes place before you become president. I mean, it's just, those committees are just vital.
That's right. So, all right, folks, we're gonna have some fun now. We're gonna break you into 2 groups. One group is going to stay in the main room, and the other group is going to go to a breakout room. So it's going to be 2 groups. I'm going to ask Cheryl if you'll do the drawing for the breakout group.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask Jesse to do the drawing for the group that's going to stay here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this coat of arms exercise. Basically, each group is going to pretend that they're a new Rotary Club, and they're going to use this coat of arms to kind of signify visually what the club is all about. It is 20 after 7, so let's take about 15 minutes, and then we will close the breakout room. So here we go. All right, Jesse, it is up. You are on mute.
Thank you.
I see that we knew that Jesse was the better artist from last night.
I add color. So here's what we're doing. I'm not running this. You're running this. I'm your assistant. I'm going to do the drawing. I'll do a little drawing, hold it up. But you as a group are going to make the decision. So at this point, I'm going to shut up and let you guys drive it. Let's see. I see Thomas is muted. Don't all speak at once. Does everybody have the instructions?
Yes.
Thomas? Okay. That was Craig. Thomas,
Yep.
You're still muted. There you go. Okay. So, like I say, I'm just the drawer. You guys are the team. And I think Mary and Jeff are also really viewing themselves as observers. So it's the rest of you that need to take over.
So Jesse, my challenge is I'm not a very visual person.
Okay.
So
Well, I can do the drawing. It's just you guys will do the conceptualizing and telling me what to draw.
and our task here is to create a coat of arms which resembles our Rotary Club.
Yeah.
And we're thinking our Rotary Club as a collective of just Rotarians, not necessarily our specific club in our city.
I guess that's probably a good way of interpreting it. Yes.
Okay.
And you're working. I mean, you're representing 3 different clubs here, so.
Yeah. So I think there needs to be some kind of illustration that depicts the fact that we are a very diverse group of people.
Okay.
Both professionally, culturally, demographically. That's what I mean by the word diverse.
Okay. Maybe the others chime in. Somebody tell me what you want me to draw. Diverse. How do you want to portray diverse?
I'd portray it with people of different color with arms linked.
Okay. Where do you want that in our chart?
Oh man, you're asking the wrong guy here. Let's see that again, Jesse.
This is what we're filling in. And
I'd put that in the middle,
okay.
right? That big box.
I agree.
I agree. I think the middle's a good spot.
Where do you want me to put it and what do you want me to draw? What you were just talking about. I think you were talking about community service.
Yeah, I would maybe put something with children and school, or children and scholarships, children maybe books, or a dictionary in the top left-hand corner myself.
I think that's, and then maybe on the next one over, this is Craig, at the top right, we could do the community. We'd have the kid service and the projects for them, and then the community service on the next slide.
Okay, how do you want me to represent that?
You could have like people with shovels and forks and building stuff.
Like working on a habitat build, we do that.
Yeah.
So there's our dictionary.
Yep, good.
So we've got people working with shovels, and so we're gonna work on a building maybe. So we'll have a house, and so we got a couple of things here. I already was started on the globe.
Globe is good.
So I'm gonna do the globe, and then we'll do the polio vaccine in there too. So you guys keep thinking and talking while
Okay.
so I'm doing drawing here.
Across the top, I don't know if there's a way to do it, but somehow if we could have the script service above self, I think that would be really good. Because we could all have fellowship, and eat together in a lot of places, but Rotary is about service.
If I can interject, do you think maybe 2 minutes?
Okay.
Yes, Jesse is fast. I think he had a previous life working for Disney.
Are you all ready?
Spokesperson.
Jesse, is the group ready?
I think the group's ready. Who's going to be your spokesperson? It's not
Yale's
me.
our spoke.
No, how about Craig?
Oh, Yale's our good one. You do it, Yale.
I'm talking too much. I think Craig would be good for you to do it.
Oh, you're the good one.
All right, I'm going to bring the other group back. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right, everyone. So before we do the report outs, I have a question for the participants. Given what this module is about, why did we just do that exercise?
Help us recognize what our clubs mean to us.
Okay, but what does that have to do with this particular topic?
Well, we worked together as a team to come up with this.
Ooh. So was it organized effort? Perhaps?
It was
Yes,
organized.
it was.
With a dab of focus in there?
It was very good.
So a little sneaky deal by the Rotary Leadership Institute to throw in an exercise that you're not even sure why we're doing it. But if anything, it does accentuate the importance of working together and listening and all of that. So before we get to the actual coats of arms, any aha moments about how you all work together to get this done?
I think everybody contributed.
I didn't see anything as an aha.
Everyone contributed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, everyone contributed something, and we had a good leader prodding us along,
Wonderful artist.
and a great artist.
Oh, yeah.
Anything from the other group? Any ahas?
No?
Groups are getting coffee.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's go ahead and see the product of your organized effort. Who wants to start?
We can start. Oh, good, Jesse. You go. Go, Jesse.
Okay. I'll put it up and I'll leave it to the team to start talking.
You're a good artist.
That's
We-
good. Yeah.
Yes, we were gifted to have Jesse. He did a great job. Thank you very much.
That's good.
There's
You're
two,
working on Pictionary.
there's two things that were overarching themes in our coat of arms. In the center, you see diverse people. We're people of different colors and different backgrounds working together. And then above that are the words "service above self," which is what every club and every Rotarian is really about. And then the other quadrants depict areas where some clubs, my club, for example, works with the dictionary project, education, working on a habitat build in the upper right-hand corner. And what did we have down below here? The international aspects of Rotary. That syringe is not a Taos drug dealer. That is the polio.
Syringe.
Being a member of the drug court team in our county, I'm very aware of that issue. And then on the left, you see the fellowship at meetings. So that was, what else would you add, folks? Craig, anything you want to add?
Oh, I think you did a good job.
We had fun.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. That was great. All right. The other team, please.
Okay. I hope I can hold this up where y'all can see it. Here's the top part. You can see basically service projects working together for literacy and building a mountain even. And eliminating polio. We thought that was really important. At the core, we have the 4-way test with the wheel: truth, fairness, friendship, beneficial to all concerned. And at the bottom, that's supposed to be shaking hands and stuff like that, you know. Friendship, again, camaraderie. And those are doves. Peaceful doves. Now, and does anybody else have anything to say about this? Because this is us. I'm sorry we're not more colorful.
No. As long as they're doves and not pigeons.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have anything to say about this?
Cheryl, no, I think you did great presenting it.
Okay. What do you think, John?
I think it's spot on.
All right. Let's give them a round of applause. That was great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so before we close the session, that was kind of an interesting little exercise, but any thoughts about, as you're moving forward, especially if you're a president-elect, any thoughts about your committees, their effectiveness, this whole notion about organized effort and all of that? Any thoughts because of what we just discussed that may help you as you're kind of putting your teams together?
The one thing I'd say is in my club, we have some committees that are very effective and one or two that are ineffective. In one case, because we do have a micromanager who's just unwilling to delegate or share responsibility. But it's important to have somebody as committee chair who has a passion for the particular work of that committee. Like our foundation chair is just totally, he's a Paul Harris Society member, and he's totally juiced up for supporting the foundation and what the foundation does with the money. And I think don't twist an arm to make somebody a committee chair. If they're not passionate about the work of that committee, get somebody else.
Excellent point. Any other insights or thoughts as you're, especially again, if you're president-elects and you're already kind of thinking about your teams and committees, anything that comes to mind that may help as you put all that together?
This is Gail, and I'm not putting my team together, but I have my team. But something Jeffrey, I actually emailed you, something that I feel like I have failed my committee chairs in that I feel like they've been put into positions without having the right guidance and direction to get them kick-started. So I think I've probably slowed them down because of that. So I am looking forward to introducing this particular mode of training for upcoming and new chairs, for them to learn and understand, and sharing ideas with fellow chair members. I'm excited about that because right now I feel like we could be doing so much more and be so much more effective if these folks just have this kind of training and exposure to their particular chair committee.
Excellent. Thank you. One final point, and then we'll move on to our last session. That Be a Vibrant Club document, please take a look at that if you've not seen it. It's probably one of the most effective but underutilized documents that I've seen in Rotary.org. It's simple and yet really elegant in terms of what it puts together about teams and committees and all of that. So please take a look at that, and I'd be interested in, if you want any guidance or you want to get any feedback about that, let me know. But I wish I'd known about that sooner, but it's really fantastic. So, all right, with that, we're going to close this session. Thank you very much.